We'll call to order the January 26, 2021 Quorum Court meeting, and we'll move past the second and third item and move on to the roll call for the sake of safety reasons with the COVID pandemic. Screw, would you call the roll, please?
Justice Ash.
Here.
Justice Burge. Justice Cullum.
Here.
Justice Fleeman.
Here.
Justice Hinton.
Here.
Justice Hepler. Here. Justice Jackson. Justice McClanahan. Here. Justice McDonald.
Here.
Justice Mangat. Here. Justice White.
Yes, here.
We'll move on to the reading and the approval of the minutes.
Judge, I'd like to make a motion we dispense with the reading of the minutes since everyone was provided with copies. Second.
We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Ms. Meek, do you have a report for us, please?
I do. Our interest rate, best interest rate today is at First National Bank of Eastern Arkansas in Osceola. On a $100,000 CD for 1 year is 0.55. And you have your sales tax report in front of you. Our sales tax that we received in December was down a little bit from what we received in November. And you can also see that our sales tax for 2020 was down a little bit from 2019. I think what we received this month will be up again, so we're back on that roller coaster, I think, as far as sales tax receipts go. And you also have your fund balance report in front of you that is up to date as of today. So does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Meek. I'm going to have to back up on the minutes. We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. We'll move on to committee reports. Justice White, do you have a planning and development meeting report?
Yes, sir. Justice Neil Burge has been elected chairman but was unable to attend and requested that I would chair the meeting for that temporary basis. But we had 2 points of business in the Planning and Development Committee meeting. In last month's regular meeting of the Quorum Court, we had an ordinance, an appropriation ordinance come before the court regarding A J Aviation in Manila for an additional $75,000 for the project completion over there. There were questions that were raised that honestly I was unable to answer. So we tabled the motion temporarily. We called a Planning and Development Committee meeting. Cliff Chitwood came and answered our questions, provided the information that everybody was looking for. And once the questions were cleared and answered, the committee moved to move the ordinance on back to the full court for its consideration and approval tonight. The second item that the Planning and Development Committee looked at was concerning Mr. Davis's Pickles. And it's simply moving a $3,000 appropriation that's already been made from one line item over to a rent line item, allowing the rents to be paid with that last $3,000. And you'll see an appropriation ordinance to that effect tonight. With those two pieces of business taken care of, the meeting was adjourned, and if anybody had any further questions about the A&J, we do have Mr. Chitwood here tonight.
Any questions for Justice White? Thank you. Justice Ash, do you have a report for the Personnel Committee?
Yes, sir, I do. We met to discuss the possibility of a motion or ordinance to allow the county to do business with Mailboxes and Beyond. As Ms. McClanahan was elected to the Quorum Court, we have to have this in place before we can do business with her. So we should have that appearing on our agenda for tonight.
Any questions for Justice Ash? Thank you. We'll move on to the Finance meeting. Justice White, do you have a report?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Finance Committee met in a regular monthly meeting last week. We discussed the financial condition of the county at the end of 2020, and that the county did end up in exceptionally good financial condition for the year. Then we identified 3 problems or 3 issues of interest that the Quorum Court would like to address in this coming year. We'd like to look at the insurance claims process and the potential that we have there on the 2019 insurance claims that are still unpaid by the insurance company that we were using at that time. We were in federal court arbitration, but it's putting some of our employees in a serious bind, and we want to get serious and address that issue. We also wanted to identify the employees that are in the Jessup program in the lower quartile and below minimum, and see if we can address those salary issues in the first few months of 21. Then we talked about the landfill. The county judge filled us in on the condition of the landfill and how well it was doing. And it is doing very well, and some plans that he and Justice Burge have for the landfill. We talked about our tax collections in general being up. We discussed the A J Ordinance that was passed on by the P&D committee. And then Ms. Jackson, Justice Jackson, discussed the new courthouse budget. We've already appropriated $1.5 million to start out 2021 in the new courthouse renovation project. And we think that'll carry us for a little bit, so we ought to be in good shape there.
Any questions for Justice White?
What's our plan as far as the outstanding balance on the employees?
You talking about on the
On the
insurance
insurance
issue? We want the insurance committee to meet, and I think Justice Fleeman was elected chair of that. We'd like for them to meet, get some honest figures together. I know you're a new member of that committee, and hope that you'll really participate in this. And then, and just with the finance committee, we'll see what kind of financial backing and what kind of steps we need to take. It'll have to come, doesn't have to, but it needs to come from the insurance committee and then to see exactly where we're at. We have a new attorney on board with us, and we're hoping that he's really going to pinpoint, what this arbitration process is going to lead us to.
My concern, and maybe it's not the right place, is we're going to have employees locked out from hospitals and doctor's offices because of outstanding balances. And I just don't want that to make referrals for guys like me for our employees for something that's not their fault. And of course, being on that committee, I sure am going to help to be sure that we get quality insurance for our dollar. That doesn't mean, I'm sorry, it can't mean premium shopping. We've got to get the best for our dollar if it costs more.
I was assured by Justice Thomas that if we went ahead and made that good, that it would not count against us in the arbitration. Mr. Holmes, have you got anything to add to that?
Well, not to interject, but with conversation with Jeremy, he's still contracted for dealing with arbitration. Now, I can look at any local issues y'all might have, but for the time being, Jeremy is the lead attorney on the insurance claim, because he has a separate contract for personal services. So,
What is your expected time span, if that's a fair question, being in federal court, for this to be resolved? Is that a realistic question?
yeah, federal court has strict timelines for court cases. This being arbitration, that's what hurt. It seems like it's going to drag out until they get a settlement, unfortunately. Now, I'm speaking without having looked at it. Jeremy would know better than I would, but general feel that's arbitration in federal court is never good.
I understand that there's not much you can do, but the court system being what it is and the way it operates, we've got people in a bind from a healthcare standpoint.
I agree, and I think that I look forward to that committee meeting and doing a little bit further investigating and see what we can come up with.
Judge, I think one of the first things, and I'm not a member of that committee, but I think one of the first things and one of the biggest responsibilities of that committee in this process would be to identify with our attorney the steps that we need to take and how we're going to do this. If we're going to make the employees good, where do we start? I mean, a lot of the employees, and I don't blame them, a lot of the employees are a little bit slow to want to share personal information, even if it is bills that we want to pay for them. They may not want to turn it over to person A or person B. So we need to figure out a process through that committee of how do we figure out how much money we owe and who do we owe it to, and start gathering that information up to begin with. But I really believe that ought to go through the insurance committee.
I agree with that plan, and I think you're right. I think we need a dedicated plan that spells out all the steps. Justice Ash?
I'm not on the committee either, but my recommendation for that would be ask if we could talk to Jeremy and get him to supply whatever figures we are trying to arbitrate out of the insurance company. And because they should have those figures going in, because we don't know how much to be asking for otherwise. And then maybe they could also tell us who we need to pay and how much, so that we could do that in a proper manner. And I'm
You,
sure that
hang out
Jake
with
would
that
work with him to do that.
I can pull up the PACER on federal court, and it should be within the complaints and discovery, the actual figures. I think it's in the Eastern District of Indiana, maybe. Then I can pull off that. That should have our solid dollar amounts within the context of arbitration agreement, at least. I can get those to you.
Ms. George, while we're setting that committee meeting up, would you invite Mr. Thomas to attend?
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? We'll move on to new business. We have before us ordinance 2020-41. Would you read the ordinance, please? Ms. Curry.
Appropriation Ordinance number O-2020-41. An ordinance authorizing, modifying appropriations for the operation of the Mississippi County government, including an appropriation for construction in progress and for other purposes. Where certain construction functions and processes of the county are in need of funding, whereas the Planning and Development Committee, along with the Finance Committee, has approved and recommends this funding and appropriation, now therefore be it enacted by the Quorum Court of Mississippi County, Arkansas, that 1, the following appropriations modifications are hereby made for the 2021 budget. Slot or account number 3414.0136.4006 for construction in progress for A J Aviation, which amends ordinance number 2018-22 in the amount of $74,959.66. Number 2, all appropriations previously authorized, approved, and made as to all other offices, departments, and agencies of county government, and all other funds not hereinabove changed are to remain as previously appropriated. Detailed provisions of said appropriations are reflected in the schedule of specific items listed by account numbers within the category for each office and filed in the office of the county court clerk. 3, this ordinance being an appropriation ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately from and after its passage and approval by the county judge.
Move for adoption.
We have a move and a second. Is there discussion? If not, Ms. Curry, would you call the roll?
Justice Ash?
Yes.
Justice Cullum?
Yes.
Justice Freeman?
Yes.
Justice Hinton? Justice Hepler?
Yes.
Justice McClanahan?
Yes.
Justice McDonald?
Yes.
Justice Mangat?
Yes.
Justice White?
Yes.
What would that number be? Will it be the,
O 2020-41.
you gonna keep that number? All right, we'll move on to the next appropriation ordinance for Mr. Davis Pickles. Ms. Curry, would you read the ordinance?
Appropriation Ordinance number O 2021-2. An ordinance authorizing, modifying appropriations for the operation of the Mississippi County government, including an appropriation for construction in progress and for other purposes. Whereas certain construction functions and processes of the county are in need of funding, whereas the Planning and Development Committee, along with the Finance Committee, has approved and recommends this funding and appropriation, now therefore be it enacted by the Quorum Court of Mississippi County, Arkansas, that one, the following appropriations modifications are hereby made to the 2021 budget. Slot or account number 3414.0160.3070 for Mr. Davis's Pickles rent in the amount of $1,000. Account number 3414.0160.3999 for Mr. Davis's Pickles project in the amount of $1,000. Number 2, all appropriations previously authorized, approved, and made as to all other offices, departments, and agencies of county government and all other funds not hereinabove changed are to remain as previously appropriated. Detailed provisions of said appropriations are reflected in the schedule of specific items listed by account numbers within the category for each office and filed in the office of the county court clerk. Number 3, this ordinance being an appropriation ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately from and after its passage and approval by the county judge.
Move for adoption.
Have a move and second. Is there discussion?
A lot of jar Mr. Davis's pickles this weekend, and they were really good.
They are good. If there's no discussion, would you call the roll?
Justice Ash?
Yes.
Justice Cullum?
Yes.
Justice Freeman?
Yes.
Justice Hinton? Justice Helpler?
Yes.
Justice Jackson? Justice McClanahan, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Justice McDonald?
Yes.
Justice Mangat?
Yes.
Justice White?
Yes.
Just approved appropriation ordinance
2021-2.
-2. We'll move on to the ordinance doing business with mailboxes and beyond. Ms. Curry, would you read the ordinance?
Ordinance number O 2021-3, an ordinance authorizing the county's business relationship with Mailboxes and Beyond and continuing the relationship as is. Whereas the county conducts regular business with Mailboxes and Beyond to procure services including but not limited to shipping, packaging, printing, and the purchase of various office supplies. Whereas Finance Committee has approved this business relationship and recommends that it continues for the 2021 financial year. Whereas the Quorum Court has addressed the potential conflict of interest that could arise in a business relationship with Mailboxes and Beyond due to newly sworn Justice Toby McClanahan's ownership of the business. Such a potential conflict was deemed to be of no concern and the relationship approved. Now therefore be it enacted by the Quorum Court of Mississippi County, Arkansas, that the existing relationship with Mailboxes and Beyond be approved and renewed for the year of 2021.
This not being an appropriation order, I make a motion that we suspend the rules and read the ordinance by title only for a second time.
Second.
All in favor?
Do I have to call roll for that?
Pardon me?
Do I have to call roll for that?
I'd call the roll.
All right, yes, go ahead and call the roll.
Justice Ash?
Yes.
Justice Cullum?
Yes.
Justice Lehman?
Yes.
Justice Hinton? Justice Helpler?
Yes.
Justice McClanahan?
Abstain.
Okay. Justice McDonald?
Yes.
Justice Mangat?
Yes.
Justice White?
Yes.
Ordinance number O 2021-3, an ordinance authorizing the county's business relationship with Mailboxes and Beyond and continuing the relationship as is.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and read it for a third time by title only.
Second.
Would you call the roll?
Justice Ash?
Yes.
Justice Cullum?
Yes.
Justice Freeman?
Yes.
Justice Hinton? Justice Helpler?
Yes.
Justice McClanahan?
Abstain.
Justice McDonald?
Yes.
Justice Mangat?
Yes.
Justice White?
Yes.
Ordinance number O 2021-3, an ordinance authorizing the county's business relationship with Mailboxes and Beyond and continuing the relationship as is.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Is there discussion? Would you call the roll?
Justice Ash,
Yes.
Justice Cullum,
Yes.
Justice Fleeman,
Yes.
Justice Hinton, Justice Hepler,
Yes.
Justice McDonald,
Yes.
Justice Mangat,
Yes.
Justice White.
Yes.
2021-3.
You just passed ordinance 2021-3. That's all we have under new business. Is there any old business? Announcements? I would like to make one announcement as I look out upon the Quorum Court. I think there's only one justice besides myself that was on the Quorum Court 12 years ago tonight. And so Justice Ash, Justice White, I'm going to ask you, do you remember what happened 12 years ago tonight?
Was that the ice storm?
That was the ice storm. If I remember correctly, we lost electricity in the Blythe building.
We did.
And we moved outside, and we were on the west part of that campus when one of the limbs broke and hit the ground, and I don't recall anyone saying goodbye, good night.
I think it was you and I and Dan Ritchie.
Yes, that's correct. And we left, and I remember on my way home, I didn't see one light, not a street light or a red light or a house light, and I did not meet a car. It was a very eerie beginning of about 2 weeks there that Mississippi County suffered. So we've got snow coming in the morning. So
Thanks, Judge.
any other announcements? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.